All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Joe Clement. Joe, I want to fist bump you.
Hey.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Honored to have you. I know that there's so much anticipation for this particular episode, just to really dive deep into you as a man, as a pro, the whole nine. So
all right.
Let's just dive in if you're all right with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I guess the first question is, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow.
It's loaded. It's a loaded question, but it's a good thing.
Well, if you want to go way back to the beginning, I grew up on a farm.
Get out.
Westfield, New York, the home of Welch's grape juice.
Love it. Love it. East Coaster, fellow East Coaster here, so that's great.
Yeah. We were Western New York. Yeah, my ancestors came over from Sicily and got into farming, and we had a grape and dairy farm.
Wow.
And so the first 10 years of my life was on a farm with lots of cousins and aunts and uncles, and we lived in an apartment up above my grandparents.
Okay.
And my dad was the oldest son. He was in charge of making that farm work.
Wow.
And so we learned right away what it is to get up early in the morning and milk cows. And boy, do I have respect for dairy farmers.
That's right out there. It's hard work, though, right?
Oh, my God. Because somebody's got to milk the cow twice a day.
Wow.
And we never could go on vacation because you can't it's not like getting somebody to take care of your dog.
Right. Little different. That's fair.
We had 25 cows, and they had to be milked. But anyway, so I did that. Then we moved into the city of Buffalo, and I went to public school number 23. Got beat up a lot the first few weeks.
Get out.
Yeah, it was a rough neighborhood. But anyway, so we did the Western New York thing, and it's a great place to be from.
Okay.
My sister still lives out there near Niagara Falls, and in the summertime, you don't want to go there in the winter. But anyway, we did that, and then I went to school in Illinois to college.
Okay.
And I was a track guy. I was a runner.
Ah, neat.
And I went on a track scholarship. I was a sprinter. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
–
Western Illinois University.
Yeah.
Became a teacher. Ended up in Peoria, Illinois, where I was a teacher and a coach, and then I got my master's degree in education administration.
Okay.
And that's where a lot of this education comes from in this company of mine, because it's in
Makes
my blood.
sense. Yeah.
But you know what? That was a great way to start my adult working life.
Okay.
Teaching and coaching and getting involved with that community and, meeting a lot of people. So my last year of teaching, I wasn't teaching, I was a school administrator. They made me dean of boys. I was a disciplinarian kind of guy.
Interesting.
Broke the world's record for suspensions. Kicked 425 kids out of school that year.
Get out of here.
Hated it.
Wow.
And had these friends in real estate, making money and having fun.
Okay.
And I said, no, that looks good.
Wow.
So I quit. And everybody thought I was crazy, in that world.
Sure.
You want a paycheck every other week.
Right.
And I was going into straight commissions, and they were just like, oh, you're going to starve? And I go, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I can always come back to teaching.
Wow.
I've never looked back.
Unreal.
But it was a good move.
Okay.
And I got into real estate there in Peoria, Illinois, and RE/MAX was just getting rolling.
Okay.
And I ended up joining after 2 years with a traditional company. I joined RE/MAX.
Okay.
And in the RE/MAX system at that time, we had 2,500 people in the whole system.
Unreal.
And there's now 120,000 people in the system.
Just a little different. Joe's been around the block.
It's like I've seen the growth.
Wow.
I've been with the growth. So a lot of history.
Okay.
Red, white, and blue blood.
Love
in
it.
these veins.
It's here. Well, and with that, Joe, I do want to ask you. So, obviously, initially going into teaching and then getting out, and I love that story of just going all in and saying, you know what, I'm going to give that a shot. Worst case, I can go through it. Risk taker, taking the chances that you did. Educated, going into that risk. But why why Remax? What was the
Yeah.
initial thought at the very beginning? And obviously,
Yeah.
you've been at Remax your whole career, right?
Well,
Pretty much, or-
except for 2 years.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what was it? I mean,
Well, I tell you, it was exciting just in the fact that it was new, and I liked the concept of 100% commissions. I liked the people that were running that show
Sure.
in Peoria at that time, and so I dove in. I was scared to death. Thought I was going to go broke or something.
wow.
And quite honestly, I don't mind sharing numbers.
Sure.
When I was teaching school, my last as assistant principal, I made 18,500, and I got into real estate. And my goal was to make as much as a superintendent of schools
Okay.
as fast as I could. And in my first full year in real estate, on a 55-45 split, I made 53.5, and he made 49.
Get out of here.
Super
So truly, you never looked back.
No.
I mean, that's an
It's
easy
like,
thing.
I said, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
I think I can do this.
Wow.
But then, I went to Remax and started really promoting myself.
Okay.
Self-promotion was a big thing with Remax. I was the
Right.
first guy to have a bus bench with my picture on it. I mean, stuff like that.
Sure.
Back then, the Yellow Pages, I was the first guy to have an ad in the Yellow Pages with my picture.
Love it.
It's just crazy stuff you just do.
Sure.
Because you're with a company that was, pushing you to do stuff that was different and, kind of outside the box.
Right.
And so in my third year, third year in the business,
Okay.
after one full year with Remax, I made 185,000.
Unreal.
And just 3 years earlier, I was making 18.5.
Wow.
So it's like,
There's a testament right there, everybody.
It's like,
you can change it. You can
okay,
change it.
I think this is going to work.
Right.
I think this is going to be good.
Sure.
So,
Well,
anyway.
and I love that, the path into, and your reasoning what's going on. What was your path into your career from there into, your leadership role that you've been in for such a long time? Like, how did you go
so
there?
I became part owner of that office, and didn't know what I was doing, but I learned enough about it to know that I could lead an office, and I got some good training from the two other partners I had.
Okay.
And what was going on in Peoria, Illinois, where I was, is the town was going in the wrong direction because Caterpillar Tractor had the union thing going on, and they were starting to build their product elsewhere.
Okay.
And the town was just, I used to carry 80 listings with a part-time assistant.
Wow.
Because they would lay off people like 2,000, 3,000 at a time.
Unreal.
It was just going in the wrong direction. So we went to Florida on a trip with our kiddos
Okay.
to Disney World, and then we went over to Jacksonville and met up with our friends that used to live across the street from us. And what happened was he gets me in the car and drives me around Jacksonville and says, "Look at this. All these headquarters are moving down here from the East Coast, and Jacksonville is exploding." It was just the opposite of what we were living in.
Wow.
And it just started planting these seeds about, maybe I shouldn't be in the Midwest where things were kind of going in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Okay. And so and there was no Remax. And Remax just sold that area to a guy I knew who was working at headquarters at the time in
Okay.
Denver. He went to Florida to open up the Florida region.
Wow.
So I contacted him and said, "Hey, I'm thinking maybe I should come down there." And he's selling franchises.
Okay.
He said, "Come on, get down there."
Yeah.
So he mailed me all this stuff and whatever, and I was doing research on Jacksonville, and I brought it all home to my wife one night. I laid it on the kitchen table. I said, "Look at this.
Wow.
We could go to Jacksonville. We could have a little, all this rah-rah." And
Sure.
She looked at me, didn't hesitate a second. She said, "We're not moving to Florida."
Just like that. Really?
I
Huh.
said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Oh, the schools, the bugs, the humidity." She had all these reasons,
Well, okay. There's some points there. No offense to anybody from Florida. But
No. I love Florida
Yeah.
to visit, but anyway, she didn't want to move there. And I said to her, first thing out of her mouth, I said to her, "Okay, smarty pants, if we could go someplace in this country, where would you want to go?
Okay.
And, where I could maybe do our own Remax." And she
Sure.
looked at me and said, "Colorado."
Wow.
That was the end of that.
Okay.
So That was 1983, 4.
Love it.
I started researching and called headquarters. They knew I was looking at Florida.
Okay.
And they told me, they said, we really need help in Colorado Springs, because Colorado Springs had 2 RE/MAX offices in the early 80s that failed because the rates went to 17
Wow.
or 18 or whatever. That was a bad time. And there were absentee owners. The 2 guys at headquarters owned it and had managers.
Okay.
And I don't know, it didn't work and it failed. So it kind of sat dormant, RE/MAX, here in this city from 82 to 85.
Okay.
I came and I researched and liked what I saw, and
Wow.
brought my wife, and she loved what we saw. And so we bought our first franchise in 85 and opened our doors February 1st, 1986.
Unreal. And so, 30 plus years,
33.
In this town,
Yeah.
in the business that way. So you've seen a lot of change,
Yeah.
right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
with the city and with
Yep.
the industry.
Oh,
I
my
mean,
gosh, yeah.
unreal.
Well, and this city, I believe, is such a wonderful city because it's such a melting pot of people from all over the world that are open-armed. And I really felt that there was no cliquey city that you couldn't break into. It was like, oh, you're from Minnesota. Oh, you're from Illinois. Oh, you're from, yeah. Everywhere's from somebody. You found
Sure.
somebody who was from Colorado Springs or something.
You're like, wait a minute.
You're
born and
born
raised?
here?
Born and raised?
Really? And
So true.
yeah. So we just got into the community, got into the schools. And, the kids were just little. Tony was 9 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
Joey was 10 and Nick was 3. And so we just fell in love with the community.
Sure.
And still love it as much as we did back then. It was a great move for us. We were blessed. The kids got through school real well, and
Sure.
they 2 went to CSU and graduated, and 1 went to University of Colorado Boulder and graduated.
Right.
So, we're very big fans of Colorado Springs.
It's a great city. It's a wonderful state, and again, I love the fact that, as you mentioned, it's such a melting pot. I mean,
Yeah.
when I meet somebody who is a native,
Yeah, it's
that's
like-
rare.
it's like,
It's
hey,
a rarity.
really?
It truly
Yeah,
is.
cool.
So I
True.
think this is a wonderful segue into really the next question, which is, what's your why, Joe? I mean, what gets you out of bed in the morning? What excites you to do what you do to the level that you do it at?
Yeah. Well, I've always, been passionate about, trying to win. I don't know if that was running track
Sure.
or where I got that from.
Right.
But winning means a lot to me, but it's not just the race, it's the journey.
Wow.
And
Love it.
and when you are in a situation where, for example, when we opened our first office, my goal was to get 35 people and get back in the 100% club, which is over 100,000 in gross commissions
Okay.
in this new city.
Wow.
How I ended up with 5 offices and 200 people
Unbelievable,
and
right?
1.2 billion in sales last year. You go,
Wow.
I didn't mean to do it. I mean, but you do it because we have a passion, or I do,
Yeah,
and I think my boys do, my family does,
for sure.
of inching it up. All right, we did that. That was great. How can we make it better? How
Wow.
can we take it to the next level?
Okay.
And that's what we try to teach and coach with our agents is, okay, we never tell anybody that you have to make X,
Sure.
but do you want to improve and take it to the next level, and take it to the next level, and take it to the next level? And so when that's going on around you and you see these people going to levels like you never dreamed they could go to,
Right.
and they never dreamed they could go to, it's kind of fun. It's kind of rewarding.
Well, and obviously the success that you've had as an individual producer, but then as running the operations and all the growth that's there. I mean, you and I kind of discussed this before we jumped on live, but there's so many amazing professionals in this organization.
Yeah, thank you.
Several featured on the Titan series.
Yes.
And I just feel
Thank
that
you.
there's a wealth of knowledge to be had.
We're blessed with good people. We always, have had great people, and that's somebody said, how'd you do it? I said, well, I was lucky in my first year. I got 24 people in 10 months, and they were they were some of the best people. They had great reputations. They were doing great business. And somehow I convinced them to believe in me, the new guy.
Somehow.
The new guy.
Sure.
You know, and I think a key word that I always, think about is commitment. Are you committed to what you are doing? And I am.
Right.
And I remember about 6 months after we moved here in '86, there was a mortgage guy, and he was talking to me about everything, and he says, he said, where'd you end up living? And I said, well, we bought a house in Broadmoor Bluffs. And he said, you bought? And I said, yeah, I'm in real estate. I buy real estate. I bought.
Right. Like some foreign concept.
It's like, and I said, what do you think I was going to do, rent? And he goes, well, yeah. Didn't you want to just try it out? And if it didn't work, then you could always make, another move to someplace else or go back to where you came or whatever. He was thinking. I went, I don't think that way.
Wow.
I don't think that way at all.
Sure.
We bought, we're going to make it work. We made a commitment and a commitment and a commitment. And that's the thing that I think some people get into this business and they forget about the word commitment. Because if you're jumping in and you're just putting your toe in the water, it probably isn't going to work.
Well said.
But if you're gonna submerge yourself in the water, you've made a commitment to start swimming, and you're gonna make it.
Wow. I mean, there's so much information into getting into your background and what drives you, and obviously your why is very important. I think this is a great segue when you're talking about that level of commitment, is for the next question, which is really coming at it from the standpoint of, if you could look at your career thus far and pick or choose a few things that you might have added to your business that took it from one level to the next, what's that look like for you? Because this is a crowd pleaser question. New or seasoned professionals want to learn from the Titans, how they grew and scaled their business.
Sure.
So if you wouldn't mind sharing some of that, Joe, I think that'd be great.
That's a good one. Well, along the way, you figure out that you can't do it yourself.
Okay.
And I have been blessed with some people around me, not just the great agents, but I'm talking about staff, I'm talking about assistants, I'm talking about the people that are currently on my team.
Right.
For example, Chrissy Knorr has been with me 25 years.
Wow.
And she is my transaction coordinator.
Okay.
And it's actually, I've known her for 27 years because she actually took 2 years off and ended up working for Unified Title for 2 years.
Okay.
And didn't like it. It was boring compared to what Joe was doing. So
There you go. Smart person there. I like that.
So I let her go.
That.
I let her go, and I got her back.
Sure.
And,
Sure.
and when she came back, she was better than she was when she left because she had this title stuff
Right.
all figured out.
Sure. Sure.
And so for just an example, 25 years of being my transaction coordinator, taking a contract from under contract to close, and never missing a beat, never missing anything.
Wow.
And, people giving us raving reviews on our service. It's because I surrounded myself with people like Chrissy
Love it.
that make me look good.
Sure. Right.
And it's the same thing with the company, when you've got, Treasurer and Jill and all these different people you've had on the show,
Right.
Michelle, these different people, they make us look good.
Right.
Right.
Well, you're guilty by association,
Yeah, you
positive
are.
or negative, right?
You are.
There's so much positivity. Light attracts light. I love that what you mentioned about surrounding yourself with those people, and I think that there's a lot of questions that are going. Hopefully, I'm speaking to everybody who's watching or listening. Finding those right people, though,
Exactly. It's
how,
key.
What is your advice to that? Because I know there's a lot of professionals that are watching this. Hey, I want to learn like Joe did, and I want to build my team. But who do I hire? How do I hire them? What does that look like? What was your journey?
And I've made mistakes. I've hired some people that weren't very great.
Sure.
And had to, unfortunately let them go because it wasn't working.
Right.
But you learn from that. And you move on, and then the next time I'm gonna, whatever.
Sure.
And you really try to dig deep with someone and find out really what is their core all about. Are they on the same level with you as far as everything from integrity, honesty, and hard work?
Love it.
And if you get that vibe and you get them in there and you can see it's like man, this is going to be great. And
Okay.
it usually is. I mean, most of my people have been with me for years and years. And Stephanie at the front desk here has been with me 26 years.
Wow.
You know, front desk.
Yeah, right. Truly.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And everybody loves her. The agents love her.
Yeah.
And the buyers and sellers love her.
For sure.
You know, and so, but she just has that passion for Remax properties. You know, she just loves what she does every day, and
Love it.
and everybody just loves her. So I've been blessed with good people and good systems. You know, one of the things that I made a commitment to do, there's that commitment word again,
Yes.
is always go to the Remax conventions.
Okay.
And I say that plural because there's two for me. One is as an agent, the big convention, and then they
Okay.
have the smaller one, which is the broker owners. And I go. And,
Love it.
And Tony is by my side for most of it. My son Joey, who's a Remax agent in San Diego, he's always with us. He'll come to the broker owner one.
Wow.
As well, and he's not a owner or anything out there. He's an agent.
Oh, interesting.
But you know, he's got the bug. He's got the the learning bug. But you know what? Over the years, you end up meeting people that you go back and you see them, and people think, well, the conventions you're going to sit in class all day and you're going to learn, and there is a lot of that going on.
Right.
But where I've learned a lot is when you go to dinner with 6 or 8 people, or you go to lunch with 4 or 6 people, and somebody starts talking about something they're doing in Tulsa or wherever.
Yeah.
And,
Well said.
and I'm going, no, what was that?
Repeat that.
I used to write stuff
This is
down.
great. This is great.
You know, and you learn, you know, and especially, you know, in the evening, early evening, not the late evening, in the early evening,
Right.
where, you know, you're at a cocktail party or whatever it might be, or some kind of hospitality suite or something, and you're having a beer or whatever, and you're shooting the breeze, and you just pick up stuff
Wow.
from people around the country that are doing whatever that you want to find out more about it and bring it back here. And I've been on the bleeding edge of some of these things that end up not being great,
Sure.
because we were a little ahead of our time,
Right.
or because it just wasn't a fit for our market or whatever it was. But we've tried stuff that just, you know, I guess that didn't work, but we tried.
And I love that. No risk, no reward.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
if you're not willing
right.
to take that chance
That's right.
to innovate and
Yeah.
to grow, then
Yeah.
you're just going to be in the comfort zone. You're going to be stagnant. Somebody else is going to take that place.
Yeah.
So to me, I really love what you're saying as far, obviously surrounding yourself with great people. Fundamentals, you know, if
Yep.
you're newer season, always surround yourself with great people
Right.
that, you know, fit the mold in different places to your culture, to your life and your morals, everything that's going on. But I really love what you said about helping you grow and scale your businesses to also learn from those other people as you travel to conferences or you have meetings. Listen, have engaging conversations with other professionals, and you can learn so much.
It's so important. It's so important. And sometimes in the casual atmosphere is where it happens the best, versus sitting there in a class for 2 hours where you're trying to write stuff down.
Hopefully everybody's writing this down, because this is great. This is great info, Joe. I
Yeah.
mean, any other advice that you might think of, just off the top of your head, for seasoned agents to scale or grow their business, or newer agents
Well,
that are getting to
yeah.
grow their business?
One of the things that's been wonderful for me over the years is I've always had this desire to give back to the industry.
Love it.
And to Remax and to help. And so I got invited to speak at some conventions, and then I got invited to speak at some regional events as things went on. You know, and I all of a sudden was asked to speak a lot.
I love that.
And it was fun, it was exciting, but what was really good about it was I really felt good about giving back, but I also did the same thing when I went to speak. I would do my presentation, but then there'd be another guy that was presenting, or it'd be a panel or whatever, and I would always have my yellow pad or whatever it was, and I would be right there, write down. I would get ideas from
As
this
you're
guy.
on stage?
Yeah.
Wow,
And
that's
I
great.
walk away with, you know, or when I was in another city doing a presentation, you know, I'd find out who the better offices were or whatever, and I'd always take time to go visit.
Sure.
and see what they're doing.
Love that.
And come back with, ooh, I got an idea, you know.
Okay.
And it was because I was on my give back, you know, mission,
Sure.
but I inadvertently took back.
Right.
Because most of the time, you know, if there was a speaker fee, they'd pay for your flight. They'd pay $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever. You know, not much. And sometimes I just said, "Don't worry about it."
Sure.
You know, and what happened with that was, we're talking to 100 people, 200 people, 400 people, whatever it was, and I got paid by referrals.
Oh, I love that.
Because those guys would send me referrals. They'd come from somebody from Colorado Springs,
Oh, wow.
you know, and it helped our business grow because many of them I didn't have time for, or couldn't take them all, and I would hand them out to the agents and
Okay.
or different people on my team or whatever it might be.
Right.
But that was the payoff, you know.
Right.
But the real payoff was what I learned.
I think there's so many facets, right? Because you're getting in front of the industry that you love. You're giving back to the industry that you
Right.
care for. You're
Right.
also doing a good thing by shedding that knowledge. People can, but
Right.
you're also learning, and then you're also getting referrals.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it's all stacked up that way. I think so. I mean, to me, if you have an opportunity out there, if you are, you know, seasoned professional to have a speaking engagement, to take them. I think they're
Yeah.
fantastic. They really mold you as a person because one-on-one conversations versus thousands of people in the audience, a little bit different, but I think it's a good thing if you have the opportunity.
Well, you know, I'd be getting prepared for this upcoming event, and all of a sudden I'm writing and scratching things down, and you know, having my secretary type it up, so I've got some notes and this
Sure.
and that, and you know, and I'll look at it and I'll go, you know what, this is good, but this isn't so good. We got to change this. So
Wow.
before I even get out of town, I'm thinking about we need to tweak this over here, whatever it was, you know, because you're refining your systems or whatever you're going to be explaining, and with that going on, sometimes you find out that it's time to tweak.
And then move on and then do your best and keep going
Yeah.
and learning, as you said, every
Yeah.
single time. So, I mean, great stuff. Hopefully everybody took huge notes. Joe, thanks for sharing that. I do
Sure.
want to shift gears and
Yeah.
go into the next question. Now, this one actually is the tricky part of this particular interview and series. It's the challenge question. So we all deal with challenges in our life.
Yeah.
No one's exempt. Past, present, future, we all have them. I'm really a firm believer in not so much what happens, but how we respond that really makes a difference.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with sharing a challenge that you dealt with, that you overcame, and stronger because of it, what's that look like for you, Joe?
Well, I wasn't going to bring this up, but it's a challenge I'm dealing with right now.
Okay.
And it's my wife battling cancer, and 4.5 years stomach cancer. Had her stomach removed. Next year she had another serious surgery.
Oh, no.
Both of them up at Anschutz Medical Center, CU Medical School. And that was 2015 and 16, and she's been chemo and trials and different things, clinical trials. And I am the caregiver. And when you look at that, and people say, "God, how do you do it?" And
Right.
I say, you know, you just do it. It's you know, because you know what, she would do it for me.
Right.
I'm doing it for her, and, you know, and so and I got great help from my 3 sons, my 2 sister-in-laws. One of them's here right now.
Wow.
For the week, and it's just great having her because it takes a little bit of pressure off me.
Right.
But so you hear that and you go, well, how can he focus on his business? Well, my business is my diversion.
Okay.
My business has improved. Last year,
Wow.
now a lot of it's market driven, but
Sure.
I could, you know, have my head in the sand or be whining somewhere.
Right.
It was the best year we ever had as far as the Clement team.
Wow.
Yeah, we did close to 50 million.
Unreal.
It was like,
Yeah.
how do we do that?
Great year.
You know, but, you know, Tony and Martha and the people on our team, Jennifer and you know, Chrissy that I already mentioned,
Sure.
you know, worked their hearts out, but they're rallying around me because they know that they don't have all of me,
Sure.
because I do get tugged away sometimes when she's just having struggles, and I gotta go home now. I'm only 9 minutes away.
Okay,
So
which is good.
I can get home quickly and help her through a situation or wherever it might be. But tons of doctor's appointments. We went down to Houston twice to
Okay.
MD Anderson for some help. And it didn't work out too well, but we tried.
Okay.
And been going up to Denver for this last clinical trial, which is just, been very difficult. So, when you have something like that, it just kind of, it's an aha. It's
Okay.
like, first of all, take care of yourself, and take care of each other.
Right.
If you have a significant other of some sort, take care of each other. And this is what's sad about this story is she was the epitome of health.
Wow.
Back in the 70s when the kids were little, she used to belong to a co-op that had whole grain this and natural foods that and organic foods this. And
Okay.
before it was in vogue, people thought we were hippies or something.
Interesting. Being healthy, right?
Weird.
Weird.
Yeah, it was weird back
Yeah.
then, No fried foods, no soda pop, all these different things. But
Huh.
somebody like that who's tennis player, hikes in the mountains, hikes in the foothills, does all this good stuff, comes down with stomach cancer. What? But it was a curveball that hits you so hard you just don't even know which ends is up.
Okay.
But you got to get up every morning and work hard. And I say to people, I've got 3 jobs.
Okay.
Number 1 job is caregiver, and the other 2 are broker owner and agent, team
Unreal.
leader.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, each day, I'm exhausted. I am. But there's not a lot of time to sit around because there's someone who needs your help,
Right.
and you're not laying there watching TV or a ball game all the time. A little bit,
Sure.
but you're taking care of the one you love, and you just got to do it.
Joe, I want to thank you for sharing that because it's not easy to do. I mean, airing your stuff out in front of everybody, but it's such an inspiring story that you're telling is, caring for the people that you love and really focus on your health and your relationships and you just never know. And as you spoke, you could be the healthiest person in the world. You just never know.
Yeah.
And I think that we're all wrapped up in our lives and in our worlds, especially high volume, high producers, business professionals. They're so focused, but sometimes they lose sight of what really matters.
Sure.
So I know that myself and hopefully everybody who's watching or listening can take that story that you're sharing to heart and really focus on those things.
Well, you know what? Myself, I have always been into fitness, and being a high school and college athlete, it just carries over, and you just do it. And I still to this day, I'm in the gym 4 to 6 days a week. I swim a couple of days a week.
Ah, very cool.
And I have to. I mean, it's just part of my have to. And because of that, I mean, I have my routine where I'm up at 5:30 and I'm in the gym by 6:30, 6:45 at the latest, and I get my deal done. And on the weekends, I go to the country club gym because it does 2 things for me. It gives me different machines to use and different things, and it gives me a whole group of people that I've known for 30 years.
Love it.
The
Yeah.
country club folk.
Sure.
And I walked in there one day last year, and a friend of mine was in there, and I hadn't seen him in a while. He goes, "Hey, you guys just lifted one up on such and such." And I said, "Yeah." It was a Saturday. I said, "Yeah, you want to see that this afternoon? Oh, you got time to show it to me, Joe?" I said, "Yeah, let me show it to you. I'll show it to you this afternoon."
Wow.
He said, "Oh, that's great." We go up and look at it. He buys it, $775,000.
I love that.
How about that pain?
This is the real stuff.
How
right here.
about that paying for a country club dues for a few weeks, months, years?
Right? Seriously.
I just but that's where I do some networking, and that's just something. But it's also some different machines that I truly like to use
Sure.
a couple times a week. I go there Saturday and Sunday.
I think that's fantastic advice, and there's a little nugget right there for everybody to take away. Is I think finding things that you're passionate about, and if there's memberships or clubs that you can be a part of, and being with people right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're following a passion, but if there's people involved, relationships come, and we get to know, like, and trust each other.
Yeah.
Transactions can happen. This man said it. You heard it. There's an example right there. So,
Well, I'm not big on the Zillows and all those things. I'm big on sphere of influence.
love it.
And that's what our company is based on. It was 65 to 75% of our transactions every year, year after year, is repeat and referral.
Wow.
Repeat
huge.
and referral. Repeat and referral.
Says a lot about you and the people that you work with and the reputation that's there. So that's big stuff too. I mean, there's not always just a silver bullet or the next shiny bell, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
fundamentals, it's basics.
Yeah, it's people business. You got to go see the people. You got to have the people. You got to take care of the people. You got to be in their face. You got to be in their mailbox. You got to be, I work on the basis of 5 pillars.
Here we go. Yes, this is good. This is good.
Okay, well, the number 1 pillar is repeat and referral, sphere of influence.
Okay.
Okay. Number 2 for me is geographical farming. Okay. Number 3 for me is all the stuff we all do, Facebook, social media, all
Sure.
those other things. We're there.
Right.
Number 4 for me is trying new stuff.
Okay.
We're using Smart Zip and Land Voice and some of these stuff I never even heard of.
Right.
Expired program and different things. And number 5 is a pillar that I talked about already. It's called commitment.
Okay. I love that you're hitting the commitment factor. I mean, this needs to be hit on everybody's minds. So go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I love that.
I'm just rattling on here about the way we teach and coach and get our people to think about.
Sure.
Is it's we do a ton of business in the repeat referral, but you got to have some other pillars.
Right.
And for me, the best one is geographical farming, because
Okay.
I've lived in that same neighborhood for 33 years, and I've lived in the same house for 26 years.
Okay.
And I know the neighborhood.
Sure.
And I've sold the neighborhood. I mean, I like to sell all over the
Right.
city.
Sure.
But my core is where I live. And that's what we do.
That's great. I mean, and that's takeaways for so many people is you don't have to go far, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's where you eat, sleep, and breathe. It's where
Yeah.
your relationships are,
Yeah.
and you expand upon that as time
Yeah.
goes on. But
Yeah.
I mean, huge advice. The 5 pillars that I'm going to list that down below, just so everybody can kind of follow along in the comments, because I think that's really fundamentals into really growing business. So
There's no secrets.
that was great. This is an open book here. This is
No
everybody
secrets.
tuning
Yeah,
in.
the big thing is doing it. I mean,
Well
you can
said.
have these pillars, and if you don't do anything about it, I mean, working your
true.
sphere is it can be a full-time job. And, the Buffinis of the world, really coach and teach those things really well.
Sure.
And I've used a lot of them, and I still use a lot of, we send out a postcard every month. It's called From Your Friends cards.
Okay.
We send about 18,000 a month
Wow.
from the company.
Okay.
And if an agent has 100 people on that list or 200 people on that list, and you add it up, it's 18,000. Well, it's a giveaway. It's buy one get one free. It's
Sure.
tickets to Monarch or whatever it might be. And the big thing is it's got your picture on the back, and it's
Correct.
got your little message to whoever, and you're in their face. It's a little old-fashioned style, but we get them for 92 cents a piece. That's 100 is $92 a month.
Sure.
Really?
It's facial recognition. It's getting in front of the community,
right.
out of sight, out of mind, right? So I think that
We all rave about how you're going to get 2 to 4 to 6 calls a year just off those, of people
Right.
saying, hey, my mom's moving to town, or my brother needs your help, or, why? Because he's holding the card he just got that morning.
Wow. Wow. I mean, there's so many different ways to go about it, and I love the fact that you had mentioned the actionable portion of that, because you can have a do this at this time,
Yeah.
this is the system you use, these are the people you
Yeah.
surround yourself, this is the office you work with or for.
Right.
But if you don't have the heart and the passion and take the action, you're not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's a dream without that real fruition into growing. And that's where I find a lot of disconnect between the top 1% versus everybody else is
Yeah.
I find that top 1%, they're willing to put the time, they're willing to grind, they're willing to put the work in, and long term. not short-term gain, but long-term into it. So many people that get into the business, and I'm sure you've met so many people over your career and your life where they think real estate's fun or easy. I could do that. That'd be nothing. And they really see a top producer and professional, what they do every day and how long they do what they do and the sacrifices that they make, and they aren't willing to put in the work.
That's right.
I mean, and I think, so I love the fact you mentioned action, consistency. I mean, there's so much positive information out of this, guys. This is great.
Yeah.
So I do want to move on to the next question, just for time purposes into that. But I want to kind of go into the softer side of this particular interview, and this is my favorite question, actually, of the whole series. When it comes down to, if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, any stage of your life, what would you say to young Joe? That's a loaded one. I mean, so
what would I say to young Joe? It would probably have to be something that has to do with learning and education.
Okay.
Because, to be real honest, I wasn't a great high school student and didn't get great SAT scores and all those kinds of things.
Right.
I probably would have said to young Joe, shape up and get better grades.
Okay.
But then again, when you think about that, then I probably wouldn't have gone to Western Illinois University and met my wife. That wouldn't have been good.
No, that would not have been good. Yeah.
And I might have gone to some, not Harvard, but whatever.
MIT.
Some out east.
Yeah.
Some out
Think about
east.
that.
Princeton.
Cornell.
Cornell. Yeah. Maybe I could have got into Cornell.
Sure.
I was paying a little more attention in high school. But
I like how you are now, Joe. Just so you know. So forget all about that. But
I don't know. You know what, Greg? I've been blessed my whole life with good everything, and I don't know if I would go back and change too much.
Okay.
Because I've really been blessed with my time in Illinois was great. We still have dear friends that are there, and they're rallying around my wife long distance with her battle. But moving here, some of the friends we've made and the business decisions we've made, and how successful my 3 boys are, and 2 beautiful daughter-in-laws and 5 wonderful grandchildren. I mean, I'm okay. I don't know if I would change too much.
I love that. I love that answer, Joe. And that's the honest truth. And just being blessed and fortunate for who you are and what you do is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think back of the times on the farm, running around on that farm with my cousins and all that kind of stuff. And I really, how does a guy like that end up here?
Wow.
I pinch myself sometimes.
Sure.
Especially when I'm on that golf course down there by the country club and looking up at that mountain, and I'm going, I'm here.
Insane.
I'm a member here, and I'm going, wow, it's pretty good for a little guy from Westville, New York.
Oh, I love that, Joe. But that's what's so beautiful about this business of real estate, and I think life in general is, if you look at it, it really doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is or whether it's highly educated or not. I mean, if you put the work in and the time, you do what's right by people, you work really hard, you know your product. The rest of it comes, and you're a testament of that. I think that's absolute proof, and that's what's so great about it. And the series covers so many different professionals from so many different walks of life, male, female, young, seasoned. If it ends up being the new professional that comes down to it, right? Whatever struggles or backgrounds that are there, the commonality is really just work ethic and drive and consistencies and doing right by people and really just shout out to everybody who's really looking at this, is holding yourself to a higher standard of what a true professional should be. So I love all this energy and advice and information. This is really great stuff. This is invaluable. So let's go into the next question, and this is kind of on that education palette, really breaking it down. This is a crowd pleaser for everybody out there who is watching and listening to these particular series. They want to know what the Titans are feeding their minds, or how they have grown, over the years throughout books they're reading, podcasts they're listening to, or influencers or coaches. Joe, how are you feeding your mind? How are you growing that way?
Well, It's right now. It's divided between health, diet, what we could do to help my wife get through her struggle.
Right.
So I've been, reading a book on cancer and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
That's there. But on real estate and on business,
Yes.
I'm a CRS, CRB, ABR. I really try to spend as much time as I can reading the magazines, the newsletters, and everything that comes at me from those folks.
Interesting.
Because it's current.
Mm-hmm.
I can pick up a book from a couple years ago. Tony Dungy wrote a book that I read, and there's some other great guys and they're more about motivation and philosophy and things like that.
Okay.
But lately, I've been trying to, this market is weird.
Right.
Not being able to get listings is very frustrating to me.
Sure.
Because we're a listing company.
Right.
And we're trying our best. But I'm looking for answers in that arena. I'm looking for answers in what's going on with the disruptors of our world, and that's more on the broker owner level. And on the individual level, what can I do with our team to improve efficiencies, productivity, and so forth. And after coming off a year like we had last year, where it was just unbelievable.
Wow.
I mean, and we got off to a slow first quarter. So we just had a team meeting before this event, and there's some good stuff going and some good stuff coming and some changes we're making.
Love it.
But it's all about staying current and reading what's in your face, because those magazines, some of it's not too great, and some of it's like, here's a gem,
Right? Sure.
This is good,
Right.
Anyway.
Well,
that's all I have on that.
Well, I think that's really good advice for everybody out there who's looking at it is diving deep into your business and educating yourself on what's current with the business. And I find that you're talking about magazines, but also I would allude to any digital syndications or publications,
of course,
through Remax websites or through like Inman Connect.
Yeah, I read Inman. I read Inman. Yeah, I read Riz Media. I read all that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, not hours and hours, but
right.
There's one in Riz Media today that said 9 ways to improve your listing presentation or something, something.
Sure.
So I was getting into that this morning a little bit, because it caught my eye. Because it's got this listings.
Right, which you're constantly thinking about.
What are you doing?
What's new? What's relevant? Or what can you add? And as you get more and more seasoned into the business, there's certain things that that you work well, things that you're adapting. But if you're new, you should be absorbing as much as you possibly can.
Well, that's for sure.
So I think that's great advice, for everybody out there, and obviously keeping it, consistency with your education. So just learning and growing, and you said that getting licensing and certifications to really know your business higher. I mean, some real estate professionals call it alphabet soup after your name on a card.
I've got that.
But I think there's some relevance to that, really understanding.
But you can I know people that have gotten their CRS or whatever it might be, and then they let it lapse because they don't want to pay the $180 to renew.
It's crazy.
Your CRS. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And you don't look at the CRS newsletter online, or you don't, I mean, why do it?
Right.
It's not just going to get the designation, it's renewing it and using it for the education piece.
Sure.
And they put on a sell-a-thon every year. I went to it one time, and I'd like to go back someday. It's in the winter. It's usually in Hawaii or someplace good.
Okay.
It's like in January, and it's all CRSs. And CRS is a great designation.
Sure.
So anyway.
No, hey, Joe, that was great. And as always, I'm going to have a list of stuff down below so you guys can follow and feed your mind the same way that this man is and has. So I'm super excited. This has been packed full of information, really getting to know you, takeaways for new seasoned professionals, the whole nine. I want to wrap it up with one final question.
Okay.
And this really comes down to a quote or a mantra that you may live by that sums you up as a man, as a professional. What's that look like for Joe Clement?
We had awards night at the new Ent Center, March 12th. And we ended the evening with a musical video with some words that I think are precious, and the video's phenomenal. You can go to YouTube and watch it.
Okay.
And it's Tim McGraw, Humble and Kind. And what I told our people was that there was a time when we had people in our company that may not have been so humble and kind, and a little bickering, little this, little that, little, broker putting out fires,
Sure.
It's changed. The people in this company today are humble and kind. They take care of each other. They got each other's back. They care about each other.
Wow.
We have very, very few negative phone calls. It's a great group. And I said I'm dedicating this song to this company and these people, and I'm kind of picking it up as my mantra for the year. Is Tim McGraw, Humble and Kind. I'm trying to be more humble. I'm trying to be more kind. And when you're dealing with your spouse with cancer, it's easy to get in that mode that she's still here on this earth,
Right.
after 4.5 years of fighting, and we're just, the whole family is into this. My granddaughter Kennedy knows every word of that song.
Wow.
And she's 10.
I mean, that's a beautiful way to sum it up, and humility and kindness is fantastic. And I think that if more people really focused on those two words, this world would be a much different place, Joe.
Agree.
So I think that is a fantastic way to wrap everything up. And I just want to thank you again for taking the time. You are an official Real Estate Titan, my friend. I didn't need to tell you that, but you are.
Thank you.
As always, everybody, thanks so much for your time and attention, your love and support. If you really like what we're doing here with Real Estate Titans, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube. Take a look at our podcast as well on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or podcast, that sort of scenario. As always, live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody next time on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.
You are awesome.
And we are almost